Guys, welcome back to Sunday Breakfast right here on ChannelOne TV. Sunday Breakfast to call it with my very good self, Jude Duncan, and my colleague Eno Safo. You know, someone asked me, what's this thing you say all the time, Charlie? I'm like, what are you talking about? All the time on the show, I say, it's not Charlie, it's Charlie. and it's an expression when you are wild, right? Exactly. And we'll be wild a lot more on the show today. Just gone by a conversation with our correspondent in the northern region, Mohammed Alabira, on a rather devastating issue happening there with regards to sun winning, specifically in the Bimbela area or Nanumba North district. And now we delve into areas concerning nutrition, right? And to help us with that discussion, a very known face on the show, Gloria Darko, registered dietitian. But even before we delve into that, your messages are coming. We appreciate them. If you've not sent yours yet, please do. The number is 0204 447 033. Towards the end of the show, we'll just spend a little time trying to discuss that one to us. Well, we want to find out from you what you make of the positioning of candidates on the ballot paper, whether it has any role to play in the election process, whether there's any signs to it or there's any chance to it. So you can send all of your messages. We'll be glad to read it across on Twitter or X. The hashtag is Sunday Breakfast. Send your message, mention my handle at Mensa Duncan or Enos at Eno_S. And we'll be both glad to read all of your messages across for you. But in studio right now, we have Madam, actually, or she did laugh. Gloria Darko, right?
Yes.
A registered dietitian.
Yes.
With Enna Consult. Yeah. And the conversation is a continuation of what we discussed or started last week on hydration and hemorrhoids.
Yes.
Wow. Welcome to Sunday Breakfast.
Thank you.
How you doing?
You clearly didn't get the yellow memo.
Yeah, I don't know.
Next time.
No, but my shoe,
Your shoes.
There's yellow small here. So I'm in line here. I'm not fed away like that.
All right.
Yeah.
Hope you're
Welcome.
well, Gloria.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
I know.
So today we're discussing hemorrhoids, I think a continuation of our conversation. So for those who were not here or did not watch us last week, briefly explain what hemorrhoids are.
All right. So hemorrhoids in our local language is what we call cocoa, or some call them pals. So it's just a prolapse of the rectal muscles, either coming out or in there. So there are internal, there are external hemorrhoids. So in the anal region, there's something called the dentate line. So when the prolapse is up there or the swollen vessels are up there, they are internal, so you don't see them. But then when they come out, that's what you see when you're trying to wipe after you use the washroom, and that's the external hemorrhoids. So basically, that's what hemorrhoids are. And there are certain risk factors that can predispose you to getting hemorrhoids. The major one has to do with constipation. Because when you're straining your bowels, you're putting pressure on all these vessels. Yeah. And there are ligaments that are supposed to hold these vessels in place. These tissues. So the constant pressure from like the constipation causes them to lax, they fall, and then that's when you see the swollen aspect, whether internally or externally.
So having a bad diet can contribute to getting piles.
Yeah, because some people, they eat bread too much. Charlie,
Bread
they
is
eat
nice.
some tea,
Or
some
sugar bread.
Charlie, then the bread,
butter
like,
inside.
Charlie, like my head. And yeah, like why? Is it? Anyway, it's interesting. So constipation predisposes you to the whole hemorrhoids conversation.
Is the number of minutes you spend on the toilet also a contributing factor?
Yes, it's a
some people like to
contributing factor.
take their phone. I like to read on the toilet. I'm not
Okay.
lie about it.
So that's a bad habit, because
Oh,
sitting
really?
for too long, especially on the toilet, can also predispose you to having hemorrhoids.
What's the ideal time to spend in the washroom?
Oh, no one has an ideal time, but just don't be too long. So don't take
the,
things-
but
the
how
minute
long-
you are done,
Yes.
No, but
clean
how?
up,
Yeah,
and then you go.
My question
but
is, how long is too long?
reading on the toilet.
Don't
is a
take your
thing,
phone
though.
in
You
there,
should- a lot
don't
of people
read.
do that.
When you go in there, definitely you'll be out. And if your diet is good, and then the bowels are flowing freely, there's no need for you to spend a very long time in
Interesting. You know, a lot of the conversation we have with, of course, their profession is a registered dietitian, but I realized how important a healthy diet or a balanced diet is to everything that we do. It's like essential to your health, right? So it affects every part of your being, mentally, emotionally, even physically. Wow, maybe sometime we should do a proper conversation on just the diets alone, like diet as anyway. But you're looking at hydration and hemorrhoids.
Yes.
So what is the role of, diet in preventing hemorrhoids?
Okay, so what diet does when it comes to hemorrhoids prevention is trying to reduce the risk factor, and the common one, which is the constipation. So that's when your fiber-rich foods come in. So from last week's discussions, Anna mentioned a lot of fiber-rich foods. So you're going to delve more into what type of fibers we have, the common sources of the fiber-rich foods that we can find on our local market, how to incorporate them into our diets so that we prevent this whole constipation, then we prevent hemorrhoids as well.
So take us through that.
Okay, so with the fiber, there are two types. There's insoluble, there's soluble. What soluble fiber does is that's what binds water or draws water from the vessels into whatever is being mixed in the gut. And then the insoluble is what adds bulk to the stool. So together they work hand in hand to make sure that your stool consistency is okay, there's enough bulk, and then the movement is also going freely. So when it comes to your soluble fibers, they are the type of fibers you find in your oats, your beans, your nuts, your fruits, even your carrots. You find soluble fibers in there. And the insoluble ones has to mostly do with your vegetables, and then also your whole grains, so your wheat, your rice, your barley, your millets. Those are the insoluble ones. So if you have a blend of these kind of fibers in the diets, it will help regulate bowel movements.
And the insoluble ones?
That's from the vegetables.
Okay,
Yeah.
so any kind of vegetable at all?
Any kind of your choice, your
And
whole grains.
how much should I be eating to ensure that I get enough fiber?
Okay, so the rule of thumb is we use something called my plates. So if you have your plate, half of it should be covered in vegetables. That is the rule.
Say I'm you.
Oh, but me. That's one thing about fiber too. It makes you feel full, so it induces satiety, but you'll not be able to eat a lot.
Okay.
So you realize if you are taking in, let's use say oats and then tea, the same cup of oats, same quantity for tea. If you take the oats, you might feel fuller than if you take same quantity for tea because of the fiber in the oats and the no fiber in the tea.
Wow. So what are some of the foods available on our market that help us to guard against hemorrhoids?
Okay, so our beans, one. We have our okras, our garden eggs, our contomere, all our green leafy vegetables that we have, the spinach, the lettuce, the cabbage. So really eating from all of these food groups is going to help you prevent being constipated, thereby preventing you from getting hemorrhoids.
Wow. So when you say the beans, is it just like the beans or its accompaniment, right? So like maybe as a balanced diet or just beans in its raw form as beans?
Okay, so beans in its raw form has fiber, but definitely we eat the beans with other things.
So gobe.
So,
Gobe. I want to be sure.
okay, it depends on what you're adding. If you're adding a lot of the gari, mind you, the gari has little fiber.
So it doesn't balance it like that. So
the
everything
beans
in
should be
moderation.
more. Yes, everything in moderation.
The beans should be more than the
More than
gari.
the gari.
So those who soak up the gari in the gobe like that, no, is wrong.
Yes.
Wow, interesting.
How am I planning a menu to get, good results?
Okay, so let's take your breakfast, for example, like I spoke about. You can have your oats in the morning, and then you also have to learn to incorporate nuts and then seeds as well. So one powerful seed when it comes to fiber is chia seeds. They are tiny, tiny brown or black. Oh, it's readily available on the market.
But in terms of price, is it affordable?
Affordable.
Okay.
I bought one recently. A cup went for 25 cedis.
Okay.
And you just need 2 tablespoons per day, so it takes you a very long time before it gets finished.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you have chia seeds, you can add that 2 tablespoons. It's going to give you about 10 grams of fiber. You add that to your morning oats. It's even going to induce the satiety more. You can even go with a little, maybe tossed vegetable salad on the side, or even a little bit of sandwich. Yes.
And then in the afternoon?
In the afternoon, say you're having your rice dishes. That's what we usually do. So you have your rice, half of your plate covered in vegetables, like I said.
Half of the plate?
Yes.
Oh, Charlie, boy, I don't do this.
So that could be either your plain vegetable salad.
Yeah.
It could even be your vegetable stew. So it doesn't have to be just the vegetable salad. Your vegetable stew is still a source of vegetable. Okay. So something like that, covering half of the plate. You have a portion of your rice and then your protein as well.
And then in the evening?
In the evening.
I'm not eating in the evening.
Oh, we can eat in the evening. So in the evening, you can repeat the same options you had for lunch. Or some people decide to do very light evening meals, especially if they are eating very late in the evening. So you can decide to do something like just soups, so like vegetable soups, but with your proteins added, and maybe just a little bit of your starchy carbohydrates. So if it's, say, something like bangkun, you are doing about half of a small bowl with a big bowl of soup and your protein.
Banku half.
The soup
I don't think the gentlemen in this studio are happy with that. But if you have any messages, do send them to the WhatsApp number 0204 447 033 0204 447 033. Any question at all that you have for Gloria on hemorrhoids, please send them in, and we will definitely do well to ask her for you. Judy had a question.
Yeah, I was just interested on what we had on the screen, right? So we had contomere and plantain with some pear on the side. Is that crab I'm seeing there?
Oh yeah.
But we were told last week that crab is very rich in cholesterol. So I don't know, or maybe just in moderation, right? Goes back to the moderation question.
Exactly.
No problem. Then this is what they call the garden eggs, right?
Yes, the garden eggs.
Nyadwa.
Yes, nyadwa.
Yeah. Then there's beans,
Yeah.
there's okra,
Yep.
and there's contomere.
Yep.
Wow. So these are the meal that help you guard against cholesterol.
Yes, that aside, it also helps in preventing constipation because of the fiber content in there.
But so let's talk about the reverse, right? So which foods, when eaten or eaten excessively, could lead to constipation and possibly suffering from hemorrhoids and what we are discussing?
Okay, so not having foods that are rich in fiber. So the opposite for the foods that are not rich in fiber is your refined carbohydrates. So basically processed foods, because when you process them, they usually take out a lot of the fiber. So if you have, say, white rice, brown rice, the brown one has fiber. The white one is polished, which means the fiber aspect has been taken out of it.
So you have bread, which the flour has been processed.
Yes.
So the fiber has also been taken out from the baked bread.
Yes.
So then it means it becomes rich in, it becomes less
refined carbohydrates.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. And which other meals? Are there any other ones? So brown rice, a lot of bread. Which other ones do you have? Or just carbohydrates, right? Refined carbohydrates.
Refined carbohydrates.
Wow.
Yes.
Gloria, there's a question here for you, and it's from Karen Hapuch. Karen Hapuch. Okay, just Karen if you have issues pronouncing the name, from Teshi Rasta. And the person is asking, people have been saying that hemorrhoids can grow in other parts of your body. Is this true?
Okay, so that's one of the major myths that surround hemorrhoids. So from the beginning of the discussion, you realize that it has to do with a prolapse from the anal region, the veins and the vessels in there. So definitely you cannot find those vessels or veins in the anal region on other parts of the body. So that's one myth that surrounds hemorrhoids a lot.
So a myth, not a misconception. Okay, well, a myth, yeah, a myth. Just take that as a myth. Interesting.
Are there any foods that can shrink hemorrhoids?
No, not directly, no.
Okay.
You know, sometimes you sit in like public transport, right, in the buses, then you have these self-acclaimed pharmacists, right, come in the bus, and they are selling all sorts of medications that they profess can cure specifically cocoa or piles and so many other ailments, right? So talk to us about how important, like how should we guard against it, right? Because a lot of these medications they even sell are not even like registered or approved by the FDA, right? But for some reason they go and say, oh, it solves cocoa, it solves this, it solves that, it solves that. I don't know. I don't engage in. I don't buy any of those things. But for the public out there, what is that caution to them or education to them about some of these medications that are sold in public lorry stations, some in the buses, where they claim solves all of these kinds of ailments and diseases?
Okay, so like you rightly said, we do not know which ones are regulated by the FDA, which ones are not regulated. Even the dosage that is being given, you do not know. So your best bet is to always go to a registered or certified health professional who you find in the hospital. Because sometimes there might be some growths in the anal region, but they might not be hemorrhoids. Not all growths in there are hemorrhoids. Maybe some people say there is bleeding when you have hemorrhoids. Mind you, that bleeding is bright red. So what if the person's bleeding from the anal region is like dark brown? It's definitely not pointing to hemorrhoids. So your best bet is always to visit the hospital and get examined, because that's the first thing the doctor would do, to examine and then to ascertain whether it is hemorrhoids or it is something else. Then they know how to treat it.
So yours is basically to advise on the foods you can eat to prevent it.
Yes.
Then the registered or the health professionals will take it from a medical standpoint when you are now suffering the ailments.
Yes.
And you recommend that don't do any buying medication. Go to the hospital, get a qualified practitioner to check on you. Very well.
There's a question that's asking, we have different types of toilet rolls on the market, and sometimes when they use it, they get hemorrhoids. Is there a correlation
between the softness of the tea roll and
the getting of hemorrhoids?
Well, I think if you are using a hard material to wipe your anal region, it's a sensitive spot. So you might get some bruises, some cuts, so some sort of inflammation. Yes, some infections can also travel up there. And then if you have the hemorrhoids maybe internally, constant straining, then it comes out. So it might not be linked directly to the hemorrhoids, but definitely there's going to be bruises, inflammation, some sorts of infections going up.
Okay. What foods should I be avoiding if I have piles?
Okay. So the refined carbohydrates, like you're speaking about. So making sure you are consuming less processed foods, and then more of the whole grains or the fibrous ones like we spoke about.
Question here, interesting discussion. I heard garden eggs and oatmeal are not good for blood group O persons. Is it true? If yes, what do we use as a substitute?
Okay, so when it comes to the blood type diets, which people are marketing out there, till date there has been no scientific evidence backing that blood group diets. So no matter your blood group, you can go ahead and eat whatever you want to eat, provided it is healthy and then you do not have allergic reactions or discomfort after eating them.
Really? I heard different. So those are all just myths?
Yes.
Gloria, are you sure?
Very sure. Very, very sure.
The people in the studio are like, are you sure?
Very
because
sure.
I've heard fish is not good for A people, something is not good for, O negative and stuff. It's all myths.
All myths.
So we can eat anything and everything, provided it is healthy.
Yes. Yes. Wow. That blood type diet is just, they are trying to say that there's a relationship between your blood group and your food. So if you eat certain foods that you're not supposed to eat based on your blood type, it can cause an agglutination reaction, so like clotting of the blood. And no extensive research actually has been done on this matter. There's no relationship between the food and the blood group.
Wow, interesting. That's a point of education.
Yeah.
Wow. Gloria, it's really been exciting having you. Thank you so much for the work you're doing and the education you're offering, really. Can we, so just finally on this, it's possible to have like tailor-made sort of a meal plan for those who are suffering from it?
Yes.
But you have to assess the condition first, or
Yes.
you can just go ahead. So if somebody walks into another consult and says, oh, I've been diagnosed with this, so you can come up with like a meal
tailored plan, yes,
for the person.
Yes, to help the management.
But you have to assess the person first.
Or once the person is coming from, usually we work based on referrals.
Okay.
So once you've been referred, it means you've already been assessed and all that. Yes, but we'll also do our assessments, but it's not going to be that extensive like what the doctors had already done.
Wow. So if anybody wants to get in touch with another consult or yourself, how do they do that? You're on social? What's the number they reach? Anything?
Okay. Unfortunately, I don't have the number offhand.
No problem. We'll find it and share with them.
Yes, I'll give it to you afterwards and then you can share it.
So you're on social media, right? At Enna Consult.
Yeah, that's something that we are working on at the moment.
There's a question here for Gloria. It's asking, hi, I'm Kweku. Please, can hemorrhoids be a sexual turn-off for married couples, especially if it's on the female anal area, and how can it be managed?
Who sent the message? What's his name again? Kweku from Mohadi. We'll pose the question to our doctor friend, unless you want to tackle it.
No.
So when Dr. Kalsu comes next week, we'll just get her to look at it. But thank you so much for your time. I don't know if there's anything you want to add on briefly.
Basically,
that's it. So grateful for your time, Gloria, and for joining us on this really important discussion. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so that's our discussion on hemorrhoids, how to practically manage it with nutrition. I've learned a lot. I hope you have as well. We'll definitely be coming back for more. There's sports right after this.